Enjoy all episodes of the RCWR Show on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio.
If you or a loved one is suffering with drug or alcohol abuse, please listen. I want for you to get in contact with the Harvey House Manor. The Harvey House Manor is a residential treatment facility that is licensed through the State of California Department of Health Services. They assist men that identify themselves as having substance abuse addictions. They have groups with certified counseling and facilitators to help with art therapy, AA community meetings, nature walks, batting cages, even movie night. They are located in Loma Linda, California. The Harvey House facility takes most PPO insurances. You can check them out on Facebook as well at Harvey House Manor. If you need immediate attention, pick up the phone right now and call 1-800-953-1383 and they can assist you with a new beginning to the road of recovery. It begins right now with a simple phone call to the Harvey House Manor. Toll free 1-800-953-1383. That's 1-800-953-1383. One more time, 1-800-953-1383. The Harvey House Manor. Hey ladies, listen up. I know how difficult it can be for you all out there doing what you do best to look oh so jazzy and oh so sexy and beautiful. You need the very best, especially when it comes to makeup, skincare, bath and body, perfumes, jewelry, the latest in fashion, and so much more. My good friend Melanie Duncan from Avon can help you out with all that. Check out her website at avonforevergorgeous.com. That's avonforevergorgeous.com. She offers free direct delivery with orders over $40. She puts great emphasis on personal care, tailor-made. Get this, it's tailor-made to meet all your beauty and cosmetic needs as she provides fantastic one-on-one consultation. So trust me, ladies, you're going to be in good hands. To begin your free consultation, call 917-755-4041. Again, that's 917-755-4041. I'm going to give that to you one more time. 917-755-4041. Hey, are you ready to browse and start shopping now? Or if you need more information, check out her website once again at avonforevergorgeous.com. That's avonforevergorgeous.com. One more time, avonforevergorgeous.com.
Warning, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR Show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
There we go. We finally got it. How the hell have you all been? I am the one and only Lee Sanders, and you are checking out an all new live right now. But for those of you, it may be the usual time you're checking it out, so you may be checking it out on demand or on the downloads. Welcome! A new episode for you coming at you on Tuesday night, July 11th, 2017, or as many of you have begun to dub it, it is 7-Eleven Day, and so probably a boatload of you all got your free 7-Eleven Slurpee. Me personally, that's too much goddamn sugar. I can't have that. That's gonna send me into probably a diabetic shock. I'm gonna have the headaches and all that jazz, so that doesn't do me a damn
thing, honestly. Now, if they were to say to me, come on in between the hours of 7 to 11 and get a free slice of pizza, yeah, that's a damn different story. I can definitely do that any damn day of the week. But what's going on? So, my God, where do I begin? First off, I do want to address a couple of things that I need to bring to you all's attention. It's not really that long, but just something you kind of want to have in the back of your minds going forward. Now, look, if you guys recall, there was a poll survey that we had did several months ago, and I had asked you all if you like the show, where it was as far as the day that it airs, the time, etc., etc., etc. And I was checking out a lot of the feedback from that. And I'm definitely going to be doing, and I have, to my own credit, been doing a little bit of experiments here and there. But I think a time may come. It's possible. I got to talk to the missus about it, and I got to do a little bit of soul searching. But it's possible that the RCWR show, at least the podcast version, will no longer be live. It's very possible. And here's the reason why, that it may not be live in the near future. Because right now, I am getting my ass handed to me left and right. I mean, I'm working, and look, I'm not complaining in any type of way. So please do not get my words misconstrued in any type of way. But I'm working 2 jobs, and typically I am leaving one job and I am immediately going right to the next. And by the time I actually do get home, if I'm lucky, I am able to get possibly 4 hours. Just a total of 4 hours, most likely a little less than that. And I pretty much got to run off of that until the next day. So I really do not get any proper rest until it's maybe one of my off days from the security company. Then I can kind of sleep in just a little bit more. So we're going to see how things go out in the next couple of weeks. But just observation right now, I have been getting really, really burned out. And as a result of that, what's been happening in the past couple of weeks is the show has either been pushed back to another day later on in the week, or the show has just gotten skipped altogether for that week, and I just try to come back the very next week. Health-wise, I'm doing okay. Everything is on point, but that is what's ultimately going on right now. So, combination of 2 things. One, I may go on ahead and I may not do the show live anymore. Now, there is a decent amount of people that check out the show live, and I do appreciate that. But I see the show is even more popular on demand and on the downloads. Now, if you ask me straight up, hey, Lee, which do you prefer? Do I love when people check out the show live? God, yes. Nothing pleases me more than to see how many people on a weekly, monthly basis are actually checking out the shows when it's live. I say, hey, if you can check out the show live, come on out. Continue to show that support. If it's a case, and I know some people, depending on what they're doing at this time of night, they may not be able to access the show live, so they definitely rely on it, of course, on demand and on the downloads. That's not going to change for folks that are used to that type of format, but for those that are used to me airing live, I'm just playing around with the idea. I don't want everybody panicking just yet, right? So we'll see what happens. If I do decide to continue airing live, then Tuesdays may be off the table altogether. I may decide, you know what, maybe Thursday is a little bit better. Or I may decide to do a live show on Sundays, since I have pretty much all day Sunday to myself. I can catch up on rest, and then I can easily just come in, boom, do a new show that way, maybe drop it in the early afternoon, whatnot. I mean, that's basically like an entire whole week. Of course, I'd come at you all if there was some breaking news coming about throughout the whole week, things of that nature. So there's a couple of ideas that I'm just toying around with. So what I can tell you, I will be doing some more experiments over the course of the next couple of weeks. I see we did have the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view event. I didn't get a chance to talk about that pay-per-view. It was so funny. I got off work Sunday morning, and I was so wired. I had all this energy, and I'm like, I know I should be sleeping, but I can't sleep. I got like this big old adrenaline rush right now. What the hell is going on? And my girl was like, you need to get some type of sleep. Don't you got a pay-per-view you got to watch and cover? I'm like, yeah, but I'm not sleepy. I just, all of a sudden, I've got this energy. So I mainly kicked back on Sunday. I was doing a binge on some stuff on my DVR. And it was so funny because, like, when it finally came time for the pay-per-view, I'm like, all right, I'm feeling pretty damn good. All right, I'll be able to watch the pay-per-view. I'll be able to do the show. And then after it goes off the air, after I do the show, I'll be sleeping like a baby. Well, I fell asleep probably after, like, freaking the first match. And that was it. By the time I woke up, the pay-per-view was, it was over. From what I remember, it was definitely over, and I was like, wait a minute, I missed an entire pay-per-view? That was a first for me. I mean, I was dead freaking tired, so I was like, uh-oh. But you know what? I don't want to beat the horse to death as far as, like, doing a pay-per-view recap, because I know there's probably a lot of you guys that have probably checked out some of my other colleagues and, you know, maybe see what they had to say. But, you know what? For the sake of the argument, it's not about my colleagues. What did I personally think of the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view? If I could just sum it up perfectly, you can't always get what you want. That is honestly how I would sum it up. Because, you know, look, was it a overall good pay-per-view? Yeah, I honestly felt that it was an overall good pay-per-view because I did actually end up watching it while I was at work. I checked out little bits and pieces here and there, and I liked what I saw from a majority of the pay-per-view. I probably got through about maybe, I would say, 95% of the pay-per-view when I was able to check it out at work. And I did ask you all, what did you think of the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view event? We got about 4 days left for you guys to cast your vote right now. You can check out that poll on Twitter at twitter.com/the RCWR Show. Make sure you give me a follow on there as well. Also on Facebook, Instagram at that same handle. Check out the Patreon page for exclusive video and audio content, including our original 30 with Lee series at patreon.com/RCWR Show. Right now, we have a little bit over 53% of the votes coming in, leading the way, that are giving the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view event a thumbs up. If you disagree with that, let your voices be heard. You got about 4 days left to cast your votes. But I thought, honestly, majority of the matches, honestly, I thought they were pretty good. I love the Roman Reigns Braun Strowman ambulance match. I thought those two guys put on a freaking clinic. I love how Roman Reigns just basically, in a nutshell, was kind of like, well, fuck you, Braun. Just fuck you. I like how he just basically went belligerent and pretty much was like a sore loser. The fact that the commentators reacted that the way that they reacted, I loved it. I thought it was a really good placement. Everything about that particular match, I loved it. I loved even more the fact that Braun Strowman went over, but then at the same time, Roman Reigns was somewhat, no, I won't say somewhat, he was protected yet again, because even though Braun won, WWE wanted to make sure that you knew without a doubt Roman Reigns was the man. He was the guy, and that he wasn't just going to take that ass whooping, that defeat laying down. So, I mean, both guys came out of that smelling like $1 million. Of all the matches on that entire card, I got to say, I thoroughly had enjoyed that match the most. I said you can't always get what you want because I personally had heard from so many friends. I had personally heard from so many of my colleagues, co-workers that were really looking forward to the Samoa Joe Brock Lesnar matchup. And a lot of folks were going, oh man, Samoa Joe, it's his time, man. Telling you, Lee, it's his time. Samoa Joe is finally going to do this. He's finally going to become a world heavyweight champion in the WWE. And these were longtime Samoa Joe fans. I'm telling you, I was talking to people that have not watched the WWE product in several years, but they were very familiar with the work of Samoa Joe from Ring of Honor, TNA, back when it was really on point, preferably under Jeff Jarrett and them. They really, really were coming into this pay-per-view with hopes that Samoa Joe was going to go in there and he was going to defeat Brock Lesnar. The match itself, I thought those guys put on a hell of a match. I thought they did very good. I knew in my heart of hearts that Samoa Joe, it wasn't going to happen. I knew that. And main reason why that I kept saying that was it's so close to SummerSlam. You need all the money you can get right now. That's sadly what it's all about. It's like what I said to you guys off and on the past couple of weeks, especially in the past, I would say 2 to 3 weeks, which is, can I tell you what I would like, but what's probably going to happen? Now, what I and what many of you would have liked would have been for Samoa Joe to walk into Great Balls of Fire and defeat Brock Lesnar and become the new WWE Universal Champion. That's what we all would like. But what probably, and it did happen, was Brock Lesnar retained. Now, I hear that, and I'm sure you all probably read the same thing, take it with a grain of salt, but Brock Lesnar really enjoys working with Samoa Joe, sees a lot of promise in this guy, loves working with him. Just the fact that Brock Lesnar is giving Samoa Joe that endorsement, hey, could maybe that combined with Triple H's ideology? I mean, come on now, when it's all said and done, Samoa Joe is legitimately a Triple H guy from down NXT. You don't think Triple H would love to see a scenario come about like that where, yeah, hell yeah, who wouldn't want to see that? I've been wanting to see that for Samoa Joe in years. It's so funny too because I had a brief Twitter exchange with Ben, the owner of Awesome Con, and he was like, man, I'm just trying to go with Samoa Joe just from that morale standpoint. And I told him, I said, I agree with you, but there's nothing that would please me more than to see Samoa Joe walk into that pay-per-view and get it done. But with it being so close to SummerSlam, it's one of the 4 biggest pay-per-views, man. You got to have as many eyes on the product as humanly possible. You got to make that money. Now, look, I'm not saying Samoa Joe ain't money, but at the same time, look at it from this standpoint. I know we're going to have a lot of people that's going to be crapping on this stuff that I'm saying, but when you really dig down deep, you know I'm speaking the gospel. Just picture yourself as a promoter. You're looking at what you've done so far with a guy like Samoa Joe in the WWE, and you look at what you've done so far with a guy like Roman Reigns. You got Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. Just on paper, both of these men have defeated The Undertaker. In the case of Brock Lesnar, he ended the streak. In the case of Roman Reigns, he damn near made Undertaker retire the way it's looking right now. So there is so much unfinished business there between these two guys. Now, some people feel, well, yeah, that's true, Lee, but maybe we can actually hold off on these guys fighting each other until maybe WrestleMania. It's kind of like, yeah, that would be a good opportunity to pull the trigger on that one. We'll have to wait and see if that happens. But, I mean, for what it was worth for that main event match, I honestly went into that main event match between Lesnar and Joe, honestly knowing in my heart of hearts that Joe wasn't walking out of that with that title. But what I was looking for was a strong, dominating performance by Joe that definitely solidified his placement in the main event picture, and I thought he did a superb job in establishing that. WWE would be fools going forward to not consider putting Samoa Joe into the main event picture contention. They would be foolish to not constantly put him into continuous play. So that is honestly what I would have to say about the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view event in total. Because I mean, that, the ambulance match, that's really the main two that I was looking forward to the most. I definitely will give an honorable mention to Hardy's taking on Sheamus and Cesaro, 30-minute Iron Man match. I thought that was a pretty decent tag match. But I mean, overall, the card was, it was okay. It wasn't bad. It was okay. A couple of key points from Monday's WWE Raw. And look, I'm not going to be, this ain't the, and then this happened, and then we went to commercial. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that here. Way I like doing it here on this show, talk about some key points of interest, especially if there was something that was the drizzling shits, and then we kind of pretty much go from there. But Monday's WWE Raw, we would see Brock Lesnar shortly make his return after defending his championship less than 24 hours at the pay-per-view event. All eyes on SummerSlam. Samoa Joe pretty much coming out there telling Brock Lesnar, man, you ain't really defeat me, right? Samoa Joe feeling as though there's some unfinished business between he and Lesnar. Meanwhile, Roman Reigns feels, hey, I should be the one that should be taking on Brock Lesnar for the title. Again, you got that unfinished business that's right there, right? You got that unfinished business. So it's kind of funny, too, considering Roman Reigns lost his match, but he's coming out trying to put himself in the picture as well. Long story short, we're going to have a match on next week's Raw between Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns. Winner will get to face Brock Lesnar for the Universal title at SummerSlam. See, this is one of those scenarios, once again, where I say to you, can I tell you what I'd like to happen, but what's probably going to happen? Now, everybody's going Braun. What about Braun? What's going on with Braun? Well, just to kind of clarify, Braun appears to be okay. Braun is actually supposed to be getting ready to do a couple of WWE house show events. So, keeping that in mind, it's very possible now that Braun Strowman, storyline-wise, may get involved in this match between Joe and Reigns on Monday's WWE Raw. And if that were to happen, boys and girls, then it's very well possible it could be Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar locking it up again, but this go round at SummerSlam. If you ask me straight up, is there a lot of money in that? If you're a fan of Brock Lesnar, we know Brock Lesnar's going to have a damn good payday for SummerSlam, but no, there's no money in there. But at the same time, you have without a doubt one of the most refreshing, riveting feuds that's going on for the main Raw roster brand right now, and you got to continue to just go with that flow. I personally hope that with it being summer, families are still out and about, everybody's planning vacationing, all that good stuff. I would hope that WWE, I would love to encourage WWE, since it's the summer, play around a little bit, do some experiments, go there. Do not go the safe, conventional route. That would be my encouragement to the WWE. And I think if you really stop and listen, you take in what I'm saying, you think about what has come about with the WWE over the years, they usually love to try to play it safe, right? Okay, well, we got the big 4 pay-per-views coming up. Okay, well, what we know is going to draw us some serious money. All right, well, can we stay safe with this? You think this is the best route to go? Okay, well, let's stay with that. We'll stay that course then. No, I hope they get away from their consistent ideology and they shake it up a little bit. So, yeah, there might not be as much money that you could make off of a Samoa Joe Brock Lesnar program versus a Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns program, but you know for a fact Roman Reigns is going to be a multi-time champion for years to come, whether folks like it or not. You know for the next 10 years you got Roman Reigns. Meanwhile, you got a guy like Samoa Joe. I'm not saying he is in his twilight years, but he ain't no damn spring chicken anymore. So while Joe still has this momentum that he has, while he still has the respected following that he has, and he's been doing a really good job since coming to the WWE, capitalize on it. Capitalize on it. You'd be a fool not to right now. So I'm going to be paying attention to that match very closely. But if you ask me straight up, what... See, you gotta make sure you phrase the question to me just right. If you say to me, Lee, what would you like to happen? But what do you think will happen? I will go on record tonight and I will say to you what I would like to happen is I would like for Samoa Joe to defeat Roman Reigns, move on to face Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. I would love Samoa Joe to just be able to do it cleanly in the middle of the ring, but I just do not see that happening. I feel what is probably going to end up happening, my gut instinct, is going to be a great match towards the final moments. Braun Strowman is perhaps going to get involved. He's going to get involved in some type of way. I can just see it. He's going to get involved in some type of way. And boy, I tell you what, if I were booking that match and I really wanted to just create a little bit of chaos, I believe SummerSlam is happening like the 4th week in August, somewhere around the 20s. If not August 20th, maybe like August 29th. I'm actually looking at my calendar right now. And let me refresh my memory here. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be going down on the 20th. Or we could just type in SummerSlam 2017. And Sunday, August 20th. So if I were to play around with this, honestly, for another week, I would have Braun come in there and just clean house. And maybe you do a triple threat match on the next week's WWE Raw for all three of those guys. Make it be a no disqualification match to determine who, without a doubt, is going to be the true number one contender to go on and face Brock Lesnar for the strap. I feel you just need to do a 3-way at this point with those guys, because Braun teased a little bit that he wanted to come after Lesnar for the strap as well. So honestly, that's how I would play. I mean, why rush it right now? Why all of a sudden going into next week, which at that point is honestly going to be what, the 3rd week of July? I'm just looking at the calendar here. Yeah, that would be like the 3rd week of July. Why rush it? You can play around with it for one more week, right? You can definitely definitively have a true number one contender for SummerSlam by the 24th of July. So I think that's probably what's going to happen. So we'll see what comes about with that. Also, big revelation. Looks like Kurt Angle. He was talking to whoever is potentially this person that has been doing these weird things with text messages, things of that nature, saying to them, hey, I'd love to extend an invitation to you to come on to Raw next week and let's reveal it all. Let's put it all out there to the entire world. I know that by doing this, it's going to hurt my family. It's definitely going to risk my WWE career. It may be over, but no matter what happens, I love you. So that's got a lot of people wondering who exactly is Kurt Angle talking about. Like, who could it possibly be? And so many people are like under this impression that Kurt Angle is going to possibly be taking on Triple H at SummerSlam. And I got to tell you, one of the most this is most intriguing. If we're going to go to Kurt Angle versus Triple H at SummerSlam, how are we going to get to that point? How are we going to tell that story? I mean, I've been marinating on this for a good moment now, and let's not forget that before everybody else had started saying Stephanie McMahon and all that, I was one of the first shows that was going, like, as soon as this story arc began. I was going, hey, what's happening with Kurt Angle right now, it could be some type of a smear campaign that my gut instincts is telling me that in some fashion it involves Stephanie McMahon. And now we got everybody kind of going, yeah, Stephanie McMahon sounds pretty good. That does sound pretty good. If you're going to have Triple H take on Kurt Angle at SummerSlam, the storyline is definitely right there for it. I don't think we all need to paint the picture. I think everybody is pretty savvy when it comes to their story arc, so we don't need to really elaborate on it, right? Right. So, yeah, if they want to go in that direction, I could easily see that coming about. Boom, there's your instant feud right there. I can see it coming about. But I gotta tell you, I really love the idea more, especially now that I watched the WWE 24 special, Kurt Angle Homecoming. I really like the idea more of it being revealed Dixie Carter. I really love that idea. The story is so simplistic, and I don't want people ripping on me. I don't want people going, but Dixie Carter, she can't act, blah, 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 blah. Well, first off, who said that Dixie Carter had to be a weekly character on WWE television? First off, who said anything about that? I didn't say anything about, hey, one and done, as far as I'm concerned. Unless she hits a home freaking run, you know what I'm saying? But feel me for a second. That is a lot more intriguing on so many standpoints because there's realism involved. You think about the very close relationship that Kurt Angle had with Dixie Carter during his tenure in TNA, which was 10 years. 10 years, guys. Alright, so a very, very fond relationship. Dixie really, really was there for Kurt Angle at his lowest points, really trying to do everything in her power to encourage him to get help, pushing him along in the right direction. And I tell you, when you're in a position like that in helping somebody, that is one of the, that's how you build a true friendship. That is how you have, without a doubt, a bond that will never be broken. So I'm just looking from the writer's standpoint, and that is a story arc that is most simplistic. It is very believable, right down to the point that, quite honestly, while Kurt Angle was on his road to sobriety, Dixie Carter was there to help him out along the way. Well, things had got pretty intimate with them, and they had a little something going on. The story arc is right there. It is right there. Dixie Carter feeling betrayed, feeling a bit jaded, a bit jealous because Kurt Angle, for whatever respected reason, decided that he was gonna break things off with Dixie, right? He cared more about his sobriety, and as a result of his sobriety, he ended up falling in love with the woman that's now his wife, Giovanni. That kind of pissed off Dixie Carter. He continued to try to keep it professional and everything like that, but Dixie wouldn't just let up. Yeah, I could see a scenario come about where they had a few extramarital affairs. Kurt Angle tried to do everything humanly possible to get away from that situation, and basically, ultimately, that is what led him to coming back to the WWE, because again, he was trying to get away from Dixie, but all said and done, she was honestly pretty hard to resist because she just kept pressuring him, coming after him. And yeah, I can see that coming about. She puts out the text messages, says all this stuff because she's upset. Yeah, I like it. It's very believable. Because, see, you got to think from that standpoint, right? Look at the story arc and the seeds that have been planted. You have somebody that is saying negative things about Kurt Angle on social media. You've got Corey Graves. Hey, Kurt, I got to make you aware of this, man. Did you see what was said right here, man? Did you see this? Now, just really stop and think about that for a second. How could you involve Stephanie McMahon as the person that is like... I mean, why would Stephanie McMahon say bad things about Kurt Angle? That doesn't quite make any sense whatsoever. It doesn't. Now, can we try to make sense out of it? Let's say, for the sake of the argument, nah, Lee, dude, I want to go to Stephanie McMahon route. It's got to be Stephanie. If you want to try to make it be Stephanie, honestly, here's how you can do it. And you have to think like this because you have loopholes. And if you're going to go to Stephanie McMahon route, you got to seal every single loophole so that the fan can't go, nah, that's not believable. Now, what I pitched to you about Dixie is believable. Whether you like her or not, you think she's crappy as an actress, can we all just be in agreement? Storyline-wise, that's how you can connect the dots. And it's actually, on paper, it's pretty good. Whether or not Dixie, character-wise, can execute it, I'm actually going to give Dixie Carter the benefit of doubt. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. I can speak from experience because I have done this show since 2011, and we did a little show called Impact Showdown. We still do that. It's just on a little bit of a hiatus right now. But we do a show called Impact Showdown that's dedicated to the talk of TNA, or at this point, GFW Impact. And I've seen a lot of Dixie Carter over the years on television, and I can sit here and I will face whatever fire that comes my way. But I have said this time and time again. Any TNA fan that at one point checked out Impact Showdown will validate in what I'm about to say, which is Dixie Carter, yes, she did start off as a pretty crappy actress, as a pretty crappy on-screen character. But the more and more that she was in front of the camera, the more and more that it was obvious she was taking it seriously. She was doing the rehearsals, really trying to hammer it down. She ended up actually being a rather decent character. Believe it or not, she actually overall became a pretty decent TV character. So I'm willing to go that route. Now, if you want to go the Stephanie McMahon route, this is how you clean it up. First off, as far as Kurt Angle becoming the Raw General Manager, this was Vince McMahon's decision. That's how you all that. This was Vince McMahon's decision. Vince McMahon was the one that made the arrangements. Paul Levesque pretty much got the ball in motion and everything. Pretty much, you can mainly put it on Vince McMahon. Okay? But if you want to try to connect the dots, just to try to set up Triple H versus Kurt Angle at SummerSlam, then you let it be Vince McMahon that for years and years and years has wanted to make amends with Kurt Angle. Paul Levesque, he's the one that decided, you know what, I'm going to extend this olive branch and I'm going to do what I can, try to make peace between you and Kurt. So Paul Levesque, trying to be that good little sport, trying to let bygones be bygones, right? Storyline wise, reach out to Kurt Angle, blah, 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 right? All right, Mick Foley, that stuff goes down. A decision needs to be made. Not that Vince McMahon needs to get approval from his son-in-law, but he decides, hey, Kurt Angle, that's going to be my new Raw general manager. Let's go that route. Now, keeping all that in mind, storyline wise, I could picture a Stephanie McMahon that's pretty pissed off because at one point she had feelings for Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle had feelings for her, and yeah, maybe on a couple of nights they did some stuff together. I could see some type of a scenario playing like that. Brought back a lot of mixed emotions when she saw him back on TV that night, right? So one of the first things she does is a smear campaign. I could definitely see that. I could definitely see that. But it was a smear campaign because when you get right down to it, she still had feelings for the guy. Kurt Angle somehow able to figure out that Stephanie is the one behind it, and okay, I can buy that. I could definitely buy that, but only to a certain degree. Because when it's all said and done, you still have significant gaps that's in there. Here's where the gaps are, and here's why I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards Dixie. Your gaps are every single time Stephanie McMahon appears, and whenever she puts over Triple H, whenever she's talking about her baby, my God, she is talking about him as if he is the next best thing since mashed potatoes, Salisbury steak, and gravy. She is putting him over like that. So all those times, like, it would be a walking contradiction. Now, there is a way you can kind of clean that up in such a way. I would love to have some serious fun with this story arc, honestly. If I'm the WWE writers and I'm deciding I want to go in the Stephanie McMahon, Kurt Angle direction, if you're going to go that route, let's really open up a can of worms. This is where the suspension of disbelief really comes into play. You want to talk about having riveting must-see TV? This would be the perfect opportunity to put some things out on television that make people say, wow, so is this really happening in the Levesque household? If it were ultimately up to me, I would love to go to Stephanie McMahon route for the simple fact you could have Stephanie say, hey, this may come as a shocker, but I honestly got to keep it real with you, Kurt. I got to keep it real with the WWE audience, universe. However you may feel about me, the truth is, I met Hunter when I was extremely young. I was just a young girl. I should have been just learning what I could about this business from my father to help take it over one day. I never imagined that I'd be a mom with, 3 kids. I never imagined that, I would be married this long, and, that it's not the life that, I had wanted. Hunter wasn't really the man that I wanted. Quite honestly, my dad pressured me into getting with Hunter. I could definitely see it. I mean, if you're going to lay it out there, that would be some that would be like some heavy stuff right there. And to let it be a situation where Stephanie tried to make the relationship work with Hunter, tried to make the marriage work, to go to the point where they've been putting on a facade for the past couple of years because they honestly did not want to embarrass their parents. And that Triple H spends as much time as he spends down at NXT, quite honestly, because the marriage just is not salvageable, that they're just quietly doing their own respected things. And then when she heard that Kurt Angle was basically back in the WWE. And yeah, a lot of mixed emotions, kind of hurt. She felt as though she should have been the one that should have been married to Kurt by now. Oh, yes. Yes. If you're gonna go the Stephanie McMahon route, that's honestly the route that you need to go. I'd be here all night just connecting the dots for you all. I don't really see a lot of people connecting the dots like this. But if WWE is gonna go there, then they really need to go there and really shake things up. They really got to go there. So we'll see. We will see. I'm eagerly anticipating next week's Raw. I'm looking forward to that. Other than those two things from Raw this week, I'm just trying to see if there's anything else we need to get into with regards to the talk of Raw. Just looking at some more quick results that had came about. I gotta tell you, I love the Elias Sampson Finn Balor match, but I thoroughly had enjoyed. Dude, I'm telling you, I love me some Elias Sampson. Now everybody is starting to kind of see what I've been talking about with this guy. At first, everybody, oh, that piece of shit. Oh, man, fuck Elias Sampson. And now, you know, what was it? Fake Me Out, Jeff Jarrett, Ryan Howe. Everybody was going that route. But, like, now that some weeks have passed, everybody's going, damn, this dude's actually pretty damn good. Oh, my God. The ultimate showman. The ultimate showman. I mean, the guy's got a combination of Damian Sandow meets Macho Man, Randy Savage, meets Triple H, meets Seth Rollins, a little bit of Barbarian to a certain extent, all rolled up in one. I love it. I love that dude, man. I love that dude. Seriously, he is freaking awesome. See if anything else came about from Raw this week. Honestly, nothing else really jumped out at me from Raw, quite honestly. Yeah, that's really it. I didn't really care for anything else. I know we had a rematch with Bray Wyatt, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins losing to Bray Wyatt yet again. Looks like we had kind of got a little bit of a tease, so to speak, between Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. Looked as though maybe there was going to be some type of a Shield reunion. As remember, there was a Miz segment where Dean Ambrose had came out, interrupted Miz TV as Miz was presenting his first annual Mizzy's Awards. Seth had actually came out, tried to lend him a hand, and they made some quick work out of Miz and his entourage. But then in the backstage segment, Dean Ambrose was like, nah, man, I know what you're about. I know your true colors. I mean, you can't fool me, man. I've been with you for so long. No, I'm not going that route. Tell you what, you do you. I'm going to keep doing me. Mind your business, stay out of my business, right? That's pretty much Ambrose's message to Rollins in a nutshell. So, but I have a feeling that they're going to be doing that again. Just the fact that they went there this past Monday night, I have a feeling they're going to, and honestly, that's good. I like the fact that they're now kind of, because when it's all said and done and you really stop and think about it, Dean Ambrose has been taking on this entourage for a couple of weeks now, and he's honestly been getting owned by them. He's going to need a little bit of help. So I don't know if maybe this is kind of like a prelude of things to come. I mean, quite honestly, look, call it a far-fetched idea. I don't see that many people talking about this. Call me crazy. Call me a dreamer. I'll be that dreamer. But do you think that it's possible that with the Miz entourage doing what they're doing, they're continuing to own Dean Ambrose? Do you think it's possible that maybe come SummerSlam, the Shield is going to reunite? I know it's a far-fetched idea, but let's really look at it. You got all three guys of the Shield on Raw. Former members of the Shield, all three of them are on Raw. And conveniently, they all have not shared the same, they haven't shared the same space at the same time. All three of them at the same time. So I can't help but wonder if some type of a situation is going to come about where Dean Ambrose just continues to get owned week after week by Miz and his entourage, and it ultimately leads to some type of a scenario where Miz and his entourage, hey, look, get you two other people, we'll meet you at SummerSlam. I mean, you want to sell some tickets, a Shield reunion, you know. So I know a lot of you guys hear that and you're going, so what are you saying, Lee? Are you saying that maybe Roman Reigns doesn't get the job done next week? No, I don't see it. And then 2 weeks after that, because remember, I said you need to go with a definitive winner, stretch it out, let it be a triple threat between Strowman, Reigns, Joe. Ultimately, either one, Strowman or Joe, let them go on to face Lesnar at SummerSlam. I might be on to something. It's very well possible the Shield could be getting back together come SummerSlam. I mean, if you got to put all your eggs in one basket and you got to make the most money as humanly possible, you got to sell them tickets at the gate. That could be where you're going to be going. So we'll wait and see, man. We had SmackDown. That went off the air. Oh, by the way, let me backtrack 1 second. We asked you guys, what did you think of WWE Raw for this week? Right now, somewhat of a tie. Yeah, we got a little bit of a tie. Taking the lead, 50% of you gave it a thumbs up, but we got a tie at 25%. There's those of you that gave it a thumbs down, and there's those of you that are staying right in the middle. But taking the lead so far, y'all thought Raw did pretty good this week. If you disagree with that, feel free to cast your vote right now in our latest Twitter poll up at twitter.com/the RCWR Show. So we had SmackDown that had aired not too long ago. Pretty well-rounded episode, I would say, for the most part. Some quick results. I'm just thinking about some things that kind of jumped out at me the most. I love the United States title match that was going on between AJ Styles and John Cena. That was a pretty good moment. Pretty much we had saw Rusev had came out and he attacked John Cena from behind. And it was a United States title match. John Cena taking on AJ Styles. So Rusev had hit the ring, attacked John Cena from behind. AJ had took the fight to Rusev. Then we see Kevin Owens. He gets in there. So, I mean, honestly, when it's all said and done, that match didn't happen. Instead, we would see a tag match involving all four of those guys later on in the night. And your team to walk away with that one was John Cena and AJ Styles. Some other action that came about. We saw Jinder Mahal defeat Ty Dillinger. 10. Xavier Woods had a pretty damn good singles match against Jey Uso. Enjoyed that one. That was pretty decent. Baron Corbin, Shinsuke Nakamura, they're continuing their feud. Saw a little bit of fire, a little bit of spark from Nakamura this week. Actually had enjoyed that. I thought that was kind of like, well, this is kind of refreshing. It beats seeing Nakamura come out just kind of, hey, I'm here. It was nice seeing a little bit of a mean streak, so to speak. Considering what's going on right now with him and Corbin, yeah, you kind of need that mean streak going on right now. But I thought it was really a so-so episode of SmackDown. There really wasn't anything I could really trip over like that. To the point, I'm actually looking at our latest Twitter poll. I asked you guys, what did you think of this week's SmackDown? I should have put up a joint asking you all who had the better show this week, Raw or SmackDown. I might start implementing that like next week. But so far, looking at the results, see, SmackDown. Now, we differ on this one. Right now, 56% of you gave SmackDown a thumbs up. Meanwhile, 31% of you are staying right in the middle. 13% of you gave it a thumbs down. So we're a little bit different on that one. See, other than that, man, let's dive into some headlines, man. Oh, but first, I want to take this time out to thank our show sponsors for this week's episode. Some of them are going to be working with us for the next batch of episodes, so we greatly appreciate the kind support that we're getting from our sponsors. But I definitely want to tell you about one sponsor in particular. Hey, for as little as $49.99, you can be in business yourself today. Imagine owning your own store that offered beautiful personalized products where you don't have to have a lease, employees, tons of inventory, and rigid retail hours. Check this out. You will have a team behind you taking care of daily operations and letting you focus on sales. Commission sales are just 25% of everything sold in your store and additional bonuses based on sales volume. Now, I want you to just imagine having your own web store, an incredible inventory, flexible hours. You are your own boss. How much would you pay to invest in a future like that? How much would you pay to invest in your future? You, your own boss, no employees, you alone, you're at it, and you have all that leeway. I want you to check out a Ambassador Startup Kit where the registration is only $49.99 and it includes a $70 offer in free merchandise. Act now and you can receive an additional $30 in free merchandise. www.monogramathom.com/become-ambassador.html. One more time, www.become-ambassador.html. Make sure you check them out. I want to definitely thank them for being a show sponsor for tonight's episode, as well as all of our sponsors for this very episode. So let's continue on. Let's talk a little bit about some headlines that's come about in the news since last we were on the air. So the biggest piece of news that's coming about right now, and people are like, why do we continue to talk about this? Well, we continue to talk about it because if it's making headlines, it's got us talking. And if you all are talking about it, then we're going to be talking about it right here on the RCWR Show. Of course, I am talking about the latest fiasco that is coming about with Alberto El Patron and Paige. It appears as though things have taken a turn for the worse. Now, TMZ Sports, they have obtained an audio recording of a alleged domestic dispute involving Alberto Del Rio, aka Alberto El Patron, and his fiancee Paige. And you just had a very emotional Paige scream out, "Stay out of my life. Leave me the fuck alone." And what's kind of sad, but what's also funny at the same time, is the person who is recording the audio, they are a huge wrestling fan. You hear this woman and she's telling them how much of a big fan she is, and it's like, yeah, you're such a big fan, but yet you're running to TMZ and you're selling them this fucking audio. So, you know, on the one hand, it's good that this is out there because now you have Paige's family really being candid about this, talking about this out in the open. But at the same time, it's like it should not have taken a fan to get the family to, oh yeah, well, this is going. No, you should already be opening your mouths, and y'all should had like already been saying something. But to hear that this fan had did that, it just rubbed me the wrong way, because it's like it gives fans everywhere a bad rep. And some fans wonder why wrestlers don't take time out of their personal schedule when they're getting ready to go to a gym, or when they're at a restaurant, or they're at an airport, or on their way to a hotel, etc., 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 and stop and pose for a picture, autograph, or whatnot. Is because when they are violated like this, when they are approached like this, it's just tasteless. It's just totally tasteless. I'm not trying to beat up this fan, but it's obvious this fan, without a doubt, was looking for a payday. Because if this fan really meant well, let me tell you something. If this fan really meant well, all they had to do was just give it to the Associated Press and let it be on record that, hey, this person that gave this audio to the Associated Press, they were not compensated in any type of way. They just felt as though this is something that really needed to be out in the public eye and get people talking. Obviously, this is a situation that, by the looks of things, Paige is pretty balls in deep in somewhat of a bad relationship, and it appears as though she needs help. Now, I'm sorry. Any fucking real wrestling fan that sees their favorite wrestler right before their very eyes in some type of a domestic dispute are not going to, I would like to think in this day and age where every single time we turn around and some type of an incident comes about, be it a fire, somebody getting shot, you're in your car minding your own damn business, and a police officer comes up and you don't know if you're going to get your ass shot to death, and you got to bust out a phone so you can be on Facebook Live and all that. I would like to believe that in 2017, there are decent human beings that still exist on this planet we call Earth that sees a situation occur where a female is getting into some type of a verbal confrontation with their significant other, to the point it looks as though cops may need to be involved. It looks as though it has the implications of a domestic dispute. And depending on how aggressive and how verbal the male is to the female, I would like to believe in this day and age, that so-called wrestling fan, if they're going to record the audio and or video, I would like to believe in this day and age that wrestling fan is going to say, hey, are you okay? Because I'm seeing what I'm seeing over here. You don't look okay. Do you need me to call the cops? Are you sure you're okay? You're not going to be recording all that and then saying, by the way, I'm a big fan of yours, and then run your ass off to TMZ just to fucking sell the tape/audio. And that is my gripe right now. That's what boils me about this whole thing. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying with regards to this fan giving a black eye, so to speak, to all wrestling fans everywhere. Because I would like to believe, it's so funny too, because sometimes we are in this situation where, well, it ain't me. It ain't my problem. And I wish we'd stop having that mentality. Well, it don't concern me, so, whatever I can get out of it, if it ain't got nothing to do with me, I don't really care. Yeah, like seriously. So I hope it was worth it. I really hope it was worth it. But this stuff that's going on, I want to play for you guys the audio right now. So I just want to load this up for those of you that maybe did not get a chance to check out this audio. Now, I know a lot of it is going to be a little bit incoherent, so I'll actually, as you're listening, I'll actually provide you the live transcript of what you're hearing. So let me go ahead. Let me see if I can load this up. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to reload it again, so bear with me, guys. We'll refresh that. And there we go. Okay, so here we go. Here's the audio. It's only about 53 seconds.
Let's do it. Leave the cuffs.
Stay out of my life. Leave me the fuck alone. You're trying to get away from you. All the time. Yes, you deserve it. You deserve the last to be in your face, not the water.
You are pressing charges against me.
Don't press charges. Don't fuck press charges. It gets me the fuck away from you. It gets me the fuck away from you.
Let's go. I'll follow you.
Did y'all hear that pretty good? If not, let me know. I'll play that again for you guys. My God, that is just... Ooh, that is intense. That is intense. So, since last we were on the air, some other stuff had came about. Like I had said, the family, they actually had stepped forward, and they're now saying some things. Paige's brother, the entire family is actually saying some stuff. So, it's crazy. It's just really, really, really crazy. So, I like how this has morphed in like the past 24 hours. So originally we had a report that was floating out there that Alberto Patron allegedly roughed up a female companion, and while they didn't confirm the name of the alleged victim, now we know that girlfriend Paige was the one with Patron and his family in Orlando over the weekend. And you've got witnesses that reported to TMZ that Paige was with Alberto at the airport that same day. TMZ is also noting that Patron and the woman were arguing in the terminal, and cops were called once things escalated. Their witness said there was an altercation. So, I mean, that's what initially was being said, but then as the story progressed, you had more and more witnesses that came forward and said, no, there was no third person involved. It was just Alberto and Paige. They were going back and forth, and it was looking pretty damn heated. So you're like, what the... It just does not sound good on so many levels, but I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So Paige's brother, Zach, took to Facebook and expressed his concern about this incident. Here's what he had to say, and I quote, "I've got to say I'm very worried about my sister. Please keep an eye on her. She had one prick known as Brad Maddox who took advantage of an 18-year-old girl, physically and mentally abused her, and now she's with a control freak who thinks he's a tough guy because he beats my sister and has money to cover his tracks." Meanwhile, Paige's half-brother, Roy, also expressed concern over Paige's well-being. He posted several comments on his Facebook page alleging that his family has photos of beatings that Paige has suffered from Alberto over the past 6 months. And he wrote, and I quote, "We got pics from the last 6 months, bro, of her beating. I'm glad she's finally sticking up for herself. The reason they're fighting yesterday is because my uncle on his last legs in hospital and he wished him dead. She needs to get away. Not that simple though." Well, now it's out there. The answer to all your questions I keep getting asked is there. My sis won't be going WWE because he won't let her. He trying to get her the sack by keep running about them. So many people in the wrestling world hate him but are scared to say it. Why? So that is a lot of what's going on. So you hear this, and there's just a couple of things that just really, really comes to mind right now. Number one, if the family is aware of this, what I don't understand is, given this family's track record, why is this family not going to the lengths of going old school and just getting a couple of hard-hitting pipe motherfuckers and taking it to El Patron if he is physically doing harm to Paige. If there are supposed photos and all that are out there, then why aren't they taking matters in their own hands? Let's go a step further than that. If there are photos of physical abuse that Paige has suffered at the hands of Alberto, number one, who has these photos? That's the first thing I want to know. Who has these photos? Are these physical photos? Are these digital photos? Are these photos that show Paige full body and you can see the abuse on her body? Because if so, that in itself is enough to take to the police to at least do some type of a what's the word I'm looking for? A well-being check. That's at least enough for the police to do that. Hell, even if you don't have the photos showing all that, you can just have the police do a welfare check just off everything that's coming about right now. Let me tell you something, and I'm going to keep it 100 for you guys. I'm going to keep it 100. And I really hope that in Paige's spare time, I'm aware to a degree, just based on some of what she's saying on social media, responding to certain things that has come her way from what people are saying about all the craziness that's going on with her. Let me say this, and I really hope this gets to Paige. If she really is suffering in some type of verbal and or physical abuse, the first thing that I would say to Paige is, I know it can be scary. I know it can be very emotional right now. You aren't really sure if there's truly a way out, but you do not have to suffer alone in silence. You do not need to be another statistic. That statistic of, hey, this person went through domestic abuse with their significant other and it pretty much ended with them losing their life because they decided that they were not going to get help. They decided that they were going to continue to suffer in silence and not seek help. Now, this little bit that we all have taken in these past couple of days, it's kind of coming as though Paige is maybe reaching some type of clarity, if you want to call it that. But if, just for the sake of the argument, if this verbal and physical abuse is legitimate, and I suspect to a degree that it is legitimate, because look, let's be honest with each other. You're not going to tell your significant other, leave me the fuck alone, I'm trying to fucking get away from you. You're not going to say all that. In the heat of the moment, in the heat of an argument, if anything, you may say, hey, look, let me be right now. I really need to cool off. I need to get my thoughts together. I'm just really pissed off right now. Let me be. You may say something to that accord, but you're not going to go to those lengths of, I'm going to call the cops. I'm going to get charges pressed against you, because at this point, it's the only way that I can get the hell away from you. Just look at that context in itself alone. That lets you know, hey, I have a serious problem with you. You are threatening my well-being. You are threatening my presence. I need to do everything in my power to get away from you. And if it involves me calling the cops on you so that I can get away from you, then so be it. That is what I am picking up. You don't just throw that out there carefreely. You don't just throw that out there just to be spiteful, just to basically be a dick. You don't do that unless there's merit. So I definitely suspect, and look, what makes me an expert on this, I don't mind putting myself out there. I watched my mom, God bless her, I watched my mom suffer in silence for many months in a domestic abuse relationship. So I passionately can connect to this. And I don't want no motherfucker, oh, why you gotta bring your own? You know why I'm bringing my own personal experience to this? Because I know the playbook very well. I've been there. I understand it. And I am basically connecting the dots to let you know that without a doubt, what is going on with Paige right now is a red flag that she needs to get the hell out of this relationship she has going on with Alberto. It is beyond toxic. So that is why I am connecting the dots. And let me tell you, I'll never forget the guy. The guy was a fucking asshole to my mom. I remember vividly when she had first met him. She went to Rent-A-Center. It was in Chicago. I was probably maybe 8 years old, and we went to Rent-A-Center. This was back when Rent-A-Center, they were dominating on TVs with commercials. They were all over the place, So we went to a Rent-A-Center in Chicago, get some furniture, and he put the moves on her. There was something about the guy I didn't like. He just rubbed me the wrong way from the very first time I met him. Picture that, right? 8-year-old kid. I was told even way back then I was light years ahead of my time. But even way back then, I thought he was a creepy bastard. He just rubbed me the wrong way. One thing leads to another. They started dating. Then he's at the house sleeping overnight. Then overnight turns into 2 nights, 3 nights. Next thing you know, a week, 2 weeks. Guy's practically living there. And this guy had so much control over my mom that he eventually made her cough up her apartment that me and her were living in. Made her cough up her apartment that had her name on the lease to move into a 1-bedroom apartment with both of their names on the lease. And it just got to a situation where almost daily he was physically abusing her. And sometimes I would see her with weird bruises around her arms or whatever, and I'd ask her, what's that? What's going on with that? And she'd be like, oh, I have fell, or she'd make up some bullshit line or whatever, but I kind of knew better. I kind of suspected something was up. So, that went on for like many months. I remember the beatings were so bad that my mom had took at the hands of this guy. I mean, I'm a kid. I'm now like 9 years old, and it's like, what can I do? And I remember there were some neighbors that, like, a couple of times they would come on up, banging on the door, trying to get help. Cops had got called, and it was one of those situations where they knew what was going on with my mom, but my mom did not want to get help. My mom refused help. There it was, right there. Sometimes in order to get help, you have to first want it. And, until Paige can get herself in that situation, I pray it's not too late, but until she gets herself in that position where she puts her foot down and says, I need help and I need help now, she's going to continue to forever be in this type of a predicament until possibly her death. My mom, I'll never forget one night, I decided I was going to go in the closet. And there was a hamper, and I think there was like a ladder or something. And long story short, there was like this gap over the wall. So basically, if you climbed up on the hamper or the ladder and you climbed over that gap, you would be in the closet going into my mom's bedroom with the asshole. So one night, for whatever reason, I just decided that I was going to hop over that bad boy with a hockey stick. And I was there for, like, my God, at least a couple of hours. And I heard this guy started smacking my mom around. I burst out of that goddamn closet with a hockey stick, and I told him, I said, you leave my fucking mom alone, you piece of shit. You know, and then it was at that point, mom in tears, she's like, no, baby, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. It was at that point she finally had decided, okay, you know what? Enough is definitely enough. And she called her cousins and told them what was up. They came over there in a heartbeat. They was ready to beat his ass, but she didn't sick him on him. Instead, we just gathered up our stuff and we rolled the fuck out of there, and that was pretty much it. And I tell you what, it sucks that she had to go through that, but in the long haul, it made her a much stronger woman, especially from the standpoint of, you know, she knows, hey, I deserve better. I will get better. I'm not going to settle for anything less. And that is where Paige needs to eventually get herself. I really hope that this young girl is able to take a step back and she's able to really think outside the box, and she's really able to just analyze what's been going on with her life so far these past 7 years. And honestly, I mean, you're young, you've got the whole world ahead of you. Why be tied down to a relationship? If you want to have little rendezvous encounters, one night stands, things of that nature, hey man, it's 2017. Being in a monogamous relationship is more challenging than ever today. So if you want to just continue to play the field with no strings attached, I mean, nobody would object to that. But if you're going to be in a monogamous relationship, you definitely want to make sure that you're definitely in a position where your needs, your wants are being addressed. Most importantly, you're being loved, you're being appreciated, you are being respected. And I'm sorry, I cannot respect any man or woman, because I know men can be victims of domestic abuse as well. They can definitely be victims of verbal abuse as well. But I have no respect for anyone, whether you're being physical or you're being verbal to your partner. You are on my piece of shit list as far as I'm concerned. So I really hope she gets herself away from this situation and really try to get back to basics, man. I mean, it seems like there's been more, and sometimes you just got to do it like that. When you're in a relationship and you're kind of going, man, I don't really know if this relationship's really kind of, sometimes, man, the most old-fashioned thing you can do is get a pen and paper and make a list. Put down the pros, put down the cons, and whichever outweighs. And I don't mean monetary, man. I really do not mean monetary. You got to just look at it from a emotional, a spiritual standpoint. You got to look at it from those angles and really decide if this is something you want to continue to pursue. And then if you do want to continue to pursue it, you got to put some asterisks by certain areas as far as, okay, well, if I'm going to continue to do this, this needs to happen. This needs to change. Things of that nature. So, very sad news. Let's try to lighten up the mood a little bit more. So, did you guys hear? So the Floyd Mayweather Connor McGregor pay-per-view prices have been revealed for the Las Vegas event on August 26th. $89 just to see the motherfucker in standard definition. $99.99 if you want to see it in HD. Now, I don't know about you guys, but for that amount of money, I'm expecting to get like endless plates of boneless wings from fucking Hooters. I'm expecting the Hooters waitress to continue to serve me my wings and beer all night long. Like, I'm expecting the Hooters waitress to actually come to my fucking house and hook me up. You should have the freaking option to be able to download that fight, that entire pay-per-view card, and keep it on your respected devices. Put it on your DVD. things of that nature. I mean, that is just ridiculous. I was talking to some coworkers about it earlier today, and I'm like, are you going to order the fight? They're like, no. It's like, that's way too freaking much. That's freaking highway robbery. I'm like, that's the word for today. Robbery. Because in all my years, I have never heard of a pay-per-view costing that damn much. That is insane. I'll tell you what's even more insane. This shit that's going on with Floyd Mayweather and IRS. Did y'all hear about this? So apparently, when I heard this, I'm like, you serious, right? I'm gonna have to start calling this dude Floyd No Money Mayweather. So Floyd Mayweather has asked for a delay to pay a 2015 tax liability until he receives his money from the August 26th fight against Connor McGregor. Mayweather had reportedly filed a tax court petition back in July that asked the IRS to grant him a reprieve until the August match. This is according to ESPN. Now, although the taxpayer has substantial assets, those assets are restricted and primarily liquidated. The tax court petition stated the taxpayer has a significant liquidity event scheduled in about 60 days, from which he intends to pay the balance of the 2015 tax liability due and outstanding. So 40-year-old Floyd No Money Mayweather cashed in on about, get this, $220 million from his fight against Manny Pacquiao back May of 2015. Meanwhile, he's expected to make another 9-figure payday against Conor McGregor. So we got Mayweather. He posted a picture on Instagram on Monday with a checkbook and a caption saying, "Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear, especially when it comes to media in this country. While everyone is counting my money and assuming the worst, these are the facts. Uncle Sam received $26 million from me in 2015. What else could they possibly want?" So the tax court petition also asked if the boxer could receive a decreased penalty from the IRS after Mayweather did not pay all of his taxes for the year, according to the form. Mayweather is 15 months late to pay his 2015 taxes. Mayweather has received about $700 million total for the 49 fights he's been involved in his career. This is according to Forbes. So all that money, and frickin' the IRS is not taken care of. Now, he would joke about the whole IRS thing during a news conference, dismissing the $22 million that's reportedly being put out there that he owes the IRS. He said, "I have a tax attorney that takes care of everything, and everything is okay." He said this earlier today during a promotional stop for the fight. "I still got my private jets. Let me put an S on that because I've got 3 of them. Still got my private jets. Still have all my beautiful homes. Still have all my properties everywhere, and still making millions every month." The fans demanded this fight. Of course, with this fight, I do want to make a ton of money. If I told you guys that I didn't want to make a ton of money from this, then that would be some bullshit. Alright, so that's what he's saying. Honestly, I'm a little bit under the impression that he's doing what he's doing with this fight just to be able to squash what went down with his taxes in 2015. But you know what? If you have a tax attorney, no, my friend, everything is not taken care of. Everything is not okay, because just the fact that you have this floating around sounds to me like your tax attorney ain't really doing a good job. So on that note, it may be time to find a new tax attorney representative, because you shouldn't be having stuff like this floating around in social media. You shouldn't have this stuff floating around on the sports circuit. So, you know, people are going to look. That's pretty serious. That is pretty serious. That is a substantial amount of money to be owing the IRS, man. So, hey, I hope this payday he got coming up for this McGregor fight, I hope it can squash all that and then some, man. Seriously. I am going to be checking out that fight, though. I'm actually probably going to end up checking it out at a bar or whatnot. So we'll see how that plays out. Did you hear about Diamond Dallas Page and Vader? So for those of you who maybe had missed it, back in January, WWE Hall of Famer Diamond Dallas Page was helping former WCW World Champion Vader with his health issues with his DDP Yoga program. And despite doing some work together this year, Vader ended up going on Twitter and he took some personal shots at Diamond, saying this bullshit real DDP turned me down by saying had to quit wrestling or I wasn't welcome at his training center. Vader said he had to wrestle to pay his hospital bills and that he was turned away from Paige for not quitting the business. He said, I have to wrestle to pay hospital bills. He said I was still wrestling. He couldn't do anything for me. I wrestled twice a month, was told because I needed to lose the weight to save my life, but I couldn't come to his yoga center because I was still wrestling at least 2 times a month. And Diamond pretty much had said, I can't heal you with the program if you're constantly continuing to beat up your body. The program wouldn't have helped Jake or anyone else. I worked with Leon, Vader, and he's really beat up from all the years of football and wrestling. My initials aren't JC, they're DDP. Everyone at any age needs time to heal, especially at 61. That's just common sense. Anyone who knows me at all knows I would never turn down to work with them at my PC, especially one of the boys. Leon just needs to return my call. And so you hear that shit. I don't know if maybe Vader really took the time out to talk with DDP and figure out, hey, look, I've got all this money that I have to pay for my hospital bills. Like, how are we going to be able? I would like to believe that Diamond had said, hey, we'll be able to run a successful social media Kickstarter campaign, Indiegogo, Patreon, etc. We'll be able to generate the money that we need to help get you on point. Don't worry about that. I don't know if maybe that was discussed and Vader was kind of like, I don't really understand this whole new social media, this new technology stuff. I don't really get that. But just to hear what I had heard when I first took in this news, you have to actually want it. If you don't really want better for your life, then this is the type of response that you're going to put out there. If somebody is telling you, hey, look, the only way you're going to be done having diabetes, for example, you need to stop eating this, no exceptions. And it's kind of like, okay, so basically you're telling me if I leave this food alone, I'll be okay. Correct. But if you continue to eat that type of food, you're eventually going to lose a leg, you're going to lose an arm, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well then at that point you have a choice that you need to make. So if someone tells you, hey, you can't keep taking bumps in the ring because just one significant bump, and that could cause you to have a heart attack, and that might be all she wrote. Well, then you have a choice that you need to make. Everything in life is a choice. Probably the only thing you do not control, for the most part, is when you die. When you die, and you kind of control when you wake up, but that still ties into dying. So other than that, you can pretty much go about freely. So I hope that Vader and Diamond can work something out in the very near future. If Diamond wouldn't say, hey, you got to stop the wrestling altogether. If he's saying that, he's saying it for very valid reason, and he has been doing wonders with his DDP program for years upon years now. And for Vader to just dismiss it like that, that just kind of shows to me how poorly well informed he is about DDP, the program, and it just seems like a cop-out. It just seems like a cop-out. It kind of comes off to me almost to a degree that maybe Vader wants to continue to hold on to those glory years, that he wants to continue to hold on to that 15 minutes of fame. It can't be that much money in the world doing freaking 2 matches a month. I would imagine you could make that same amount of money just by appearing at autograph signings and all that all throughout the cities across the U.S. I would imagine maybe you could do a little something like that instead. So I don't know, man. That's a very interesting story right there. So other than that, some other notes, some other stuff that maybe we can get into. Honestly, I think that might be it. As far as I'm just thinking about any other major headlines I wanted to get into. I can't think of anything else. So I'm looking at how long the show had went, and we actually did pretty good. I said I wanted to do about 90 minutes or less. By the time I edit this, it's actually gonna be about 90 minutes. So that's actually pretty damn good. So hey, I kept getting asked, Spider-Man Homecoming. Didn't see it over the weekend, was supposed to, but I was dead tired. I'm actually gonna have the day off on Friday, so I'll actually be seeing it with the missus, and we'll actually be recording a 30 with Lee episode. That'll actually be exclusive to our Patreon members, which, by the way, if you want to be a Patreon member, which I recommend you do, you'll be able to access a lot of cool exclusive content. Learn a lot more at patreon.com/RCWR Show. And at this point, you'll get that 30 with Lee, as I mentioned earlier. That'll be dropping this weekend. Your next edition of the RCWR Show coming at you on Tuesday night, July 18th, 10 p.m. Eastern, on Spreaker.com. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Use the keywords, the RCWR Show. One more time, got to give it up to all our show sponsors. For tonight, I definitely want to kindly remind you all that for as little as $49.99, you could be in business for yourself today. Just imagine owning your own store that offered beautiful personalized products where you don't have a lease, you don't have employees, and you have no inventory to be concerned with, no physical inventory to be concerned with, no rigid retail hours. Instead, you will have a team behind you taking care of your daily operations and letting you just focus on one thing, and that is sales. Commission sales are 25% of everything sold in your store and an additional bonus based on sales volume. Now, I want you to imagine having your own web store, an incredible inventory, and flexible hours where you are your own boss. How much would you pay to invest in a future like that? How much would you pay to invest in your future? Check out a Ambassador Startup Kit. Registration is only $49.99 and includes $70 in free merchandise. Act now and receive an additional $30 in free merchandise. Head on over to www.monogramathome.com/become-ambassador.html. One more time, www.monogramathome.com/become-ambassador.html. Shout out to them and shout out to all of our sponsors for this very episode. Be safe, be kind to one another. Everybody, take care.